Hello, everyone. I was going to stream this morning, but you can tell by the setting my lights are on, so it means it's nighttime. TLDR, translation, long story short, responsibilities, life got in the way, you know. So I made time for tonight. And, yeah, pretty much. Okay, where do I start? Right. I'm gonna read a poem to kind of warm things up because this day threw me off so much. Like, I wanted to get this done, but something just kept getting in the way today. And I could have just said I'm gonna do it tomorrow, but no. I'm gonna keep a commitment. Even if it means I have to stay up and do a podcast. And why do I say I have to? Because I want to. And I want to keep a commitment. Anyway, so here's the poem to kind of warm things up. This is one I made. And it's called A Great Teacher. What defines a great teacher? Is it the knowledge of the subject? The ability to handle the class with ease? To know what a student needs at the right time? I ask this question. There is no right or wrong answer. Teaching is an art. It's not easy to perfect. A great teacher is defined as how to be a great human. You don't know the answer. To me, a teacher must be patient and able to be open to anything. A great teacher isn't easy to find. When you find that teacher, you would have found a rare jewel that hasn't been seen for years. Teaching is an art, not yet taken seriously to those with power. Teaching is what got anyone their jobs. Teaching is what allowed paths to be seen to those students who do something about them. A great teacher is what everyone respects. A great teacher works harder than anyone. All they want is to see a smile, to hear how what they did helped someone on days they need to hear that the most. A great teacher is rare. A great teacher inspires. A great teacher is what people need. Something we all need in this crazy time. Well, yeah, basically, that's a good poem that I wrote on what topic is today, which is week 3 and my adventures in high school. Alright, so, bit of note. Tuesday wasn't really anything noteworthy. Like, really noteworthy. It was just me doing homework and chilling, just to be honest. So I'm gonna start with Monday. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Monday, for me, was a holiday. Meaning, new class. But if you're a college student, that also means homework. Ugh. Don't get me wrong, I understand what it means, but if you have, like, reading and homework, it just piles down on you, and you just make time for fun. This is why I make time for podcasts. My own podcast, because I need that bit of stability or sanity, something that makes it fun, and also to give me a breath of fresh air or something to calm me down, because if it piles down on you, if you're working so hard to where you're either burn out or sleep deprived or your hunger's going a little weird, you need to take a break. If not for the sake of yourself, but the sake of your sanity and the sake of your body. Because trust me, college is work. It's a lot of work, but if you're committed, it's worth it. That's a pretty good indication of what college is. A lot of work, but worth it. If you can put the time and the effort to it. Anyway. So, what did I do on Monday was go see a movie. I think I did homework. I don't know. I try to make time for homework in some regard, but I also try to make time for fun to spare my sanity. What movie did I go see? The new Shang-Chi Shang-Chi movie. I am going to do better at this whole getting the names thing right. I wanted to pronounce it right out of respect. And I don't want to get canceled anywhere, so I'm just doing my best. And to keep it simple and spoiler free, it is so worth seeing. It is definitely worth seeing. I totally recommend it. It is awesome. Honestly, this is only tiny. Doesn't say much, but it says a lot. The combat is so much better than any other combat movie in Marvel I've seen. And that's a lot, in my opinion. I'm like glued to the screen most times. And honestly, it was just a breath of fresh air. If you're looking for a movie to just chill out and enjoy and get that feel of like normalcy, that thrill that you're missing, that you're hunger for, go see it. It is so worth it. So worth it. And I'm gonna stop talking about it to keep the spoiler free, promise. Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing on Monday I want to note. It was mostly like Tuesday, just chill and go see a movie. Let's see. Wednesday morning, I think it was pretty much normal. Nothing really worth talking about. But there was something in art class though. I was talking, and my teacher in a way was like, "Cat," like Catherine, in a teasing way. And I told in the last episode, I viewed the teacher as like seeing myself but older, which is interesting because it means she has the same energy as me, and we think much alike. So that's why I say I'm looking at a mirror, or I'm like looking at myself, because she gets me, or at least I get her, if we're gonna put it in that context. So sometimes it's like when she says that, I'm like, oh, she knows me well, and we just met. Speaking of which, this I might be saying it's a little bit early, but it seems like me and my blockmates are getting closer, like as friends. So we're like stuck with each other pretty much all the classes we have, and we're just vibing. We're just getting through. We're just trying to like get through the day. We are just trekking through this, and I don't blame my blockmates or myself, because normal classes are hard to deal with, but mixture of the pandemic and everything else, it's just like we are trying to keep our sanity together. So having a Discord and just having somewhere to talk about all this and just keeping everything together just gives us tiny bit of sanity that we have, and that's great. Something else that happened was she introduced us to the Silk Road Ensemble. You can just type it up on YouTube. You're bound to find it. Trust me. It's, yes, classical music. And yes, it is the type where you would think like, oh, this sounds like a composer from Beethoven or something, but no. That's the thing about classical music these days, is a lot of people think like it's Beethoven or it's Tchaikovsky, Bach, even. Yes, Bach is a thing. Is a person, actually. Man. TLDR. I know some, but it was a long time ago, and my grandfather on my mother's side actually enjoys classical music, so every time I hear classical music, I think of him. Forgive me, that is my cat. Yes, enjoy the cat sounds. And this is exactly why I haven't got her in this room. Anyway, squirrel. Right. So, we're listening to one of their pieces, the Silk Ensemble, and she's saying, like, cut this piece of paper into 8 pieces, and then just think of words that come to mind when you're listening. And she allows us to close our eyes, and I'm one of those people that will want to close my eyes because it will shield me from the world around me. Because the way I see it is, I like the cat, like Roxy here, being a huge distraction. I am so easily distracted visually. So if I can close my eyes and just let my ears do filling in the blanks for me, I can like picture, use my imagination to make a picture. So when I'm like listening to pieces of music, I'm hearing maybe like a picture that comes to mind, and sometimes what came to mind was like a dance or something. I just went with whatever came to my thoughts first. And it was great because I'm not able to do that in classes because sometimes I feel like people will stare at me like I'm a crazy person. So if I have like um the DSS, meaning like a place where I can go to get restrictive testing. DSS in college is just if people like me have like a mental disability like ADHD, or you have like an injury or something. So when you need like special services, that's what they're there for. They can give accommodations such as you may need to go to a different place so you can actually take the test without so many distractions in peace. And that's actually what I need because I can close my eyes and I know people aren't looking at me because they're focused on something else. And I have peace knowing that no one's going to judge me or stare at me. And that's kind of the weird thing is if I can focus my mind and picture like something that is in the back of my mind that I can bring out. If I study more, it brings that out more. So I like to think it helps. But in these times, luckily, I don't think that I have any tests so far. Because it doesn't make sense to me why a credential program would have tests when we have the CPS test, we have this other test like the TPA, and I think there was another test they mentioned that I can't remember the top of my head, but it's like you're doing a read aloud, and the amount of testing you do just to prove you're a teacher is ridiculous. I don't know how many tests a lawyer takes, but I know that there's a bar exam. So I can't really say they take less than me, but it feels like it though. Like they have this one big bar exam. So if anybody that's a lawyer that knows anything about this, or like a lawyer student, please let me know so I'm not like rattling my head or basically putting myself to shame. Because yeah, I've done that before, like way too many times. Um, and the piece of music reminds me of something I've watched on YouTube. Um, the best way is to look at Sadist. So sad dash ist, ist. I'd recommend checking her out because she does animatics. They're really, really good, really best quality I've seen. I mean, she's she deserves a lot because she puts a whole lot of work. Anyway, one of the animatics she put had this beautiful music, and I listen to music like a lot. I live with music. I'm actually listening right now, but due to the distance of the mic, you can't hear it, and I'm putting that distance on purpose so I can avoid copywriting issues. And I really don't want to get into trouble with copyright because it's a real thing. Trust me, it's a real thing. Yeah, let's put it this way. I'm a true born... There we go. It's really hard to do this, actually. Okay. Alright. I am a true-born Hufflepuff. Because I avoid conflict like the plague. Poor choice of words, but you get the point. I avoid it like no tomorrow. So, yeah, the last thing I want to do is getting copywriting issues and putting that on my, sins. Not that I need that on my conscience, but I'm getting way off track. But, yeah. The reason why I mentioned it is, in this animatic, there's a piece of music, and it's just the guitar and a violin. The simplest, two simple instruments, and it was so beautiful. Like, oh my Lanta, this is so good. And it's not really on Spotify, so you kind of have to, like, go on YouTube and look it up or something. And I could listen to that for an hour and not be, like, upset. It's really good. The music I listen to reminded me a little bit of that. Mainly because I grew an appreciation with that piece of music. So it made me appreciate more of classical music. And I think it was due to the fact that my grandfather that I mentioned that likes classical music is now... Oh, thank you for the follows. Yeah, my grandfather is in heaven. If that gives you any context. Yes. That is my cat. Don't mind her. Anyway. So we turned those words that we were listening to from this piece of music, from the Ensemble, into a poem. So basically, we were listening to a piece of music, and whatever words came to mind, we were doing that. Then we were putting those words into something. Into a poem. Which is brilliant and creative, and I might steal that. And by that I mean I will use that for class, for like teaching. That's the thing about teachers, is that they will take ideas. We say borrow, but it's really, I'm taking your ideas whether you like it or not, sorry. That's a trend with teachers, that we thrive on collaboration, and we thrive on ideas. That's why I put that poem earlier. It relates to what I'm talking about. Let's see. Right. And after that, I want you to meet someone. Yes. Roxy, I'm not gonna pick you up because you don't like that. This is Gerald. Say hi, Gerald. Hi. What? What? I'm a sock puppet. I'm just kidding, my parents. Well, hi. Yeah, that's my sock puppet. Why a sock puppet? Because, I made it for a class, and, well, I forgot how much fun making a sock puppet is. Actually, I don't think I've ever made a sock puppet in my life. Maybe not a good one. I don't remember. It's been a long time, though, since I've probably interacted with a sock puppet at all. Sad. But hey, it's giving me happiness. That's good. That's good. Right. Oh, that morning, I forgot about this. When I was heading to class, I think, or heading to our class, somewhere, I'm sure. I was actually taking a ride with the dean of the department. The way the college works, the way Cal State Fullerton works is, if you think about it like Hogwarts, you're getting close. But instead of like being sorted because of founders, it's sorted based off of practicality and what you want. So you have a business, there's education. Well, actually, there's business, there's humanities, human and health. There's like two that are very similar and yet not. It is so confusing. But yeah, there's one for the tech department, one for one for like the teaching and the nurses, because apparently that makes sense somewhat. I don't know. There's one for theater as well. Actually, the actor that plays as Diego for Umbrella Academy is an alumni of Cal State Fullerton. I did not know that until I saw it on saw it until word spread a little bit on the news, on the school news. Anyway, a little bit of a fun fact for you. Yeah, so when I'm talking about the dean, I'm talking about the dean of the humanities and health of like that sort of thing. Not like the whole. Anyway, I took a ride with her. I didn't know it was her, but she took it up to the 6th floor. The 6th floor is mainly her floor. And I say her because it was a her. Because the person was a she. Unless they go by they. But as far as I know, I'm just gonna say she for the sake of context. It is not easy trying to avoid being cancelled. Right. For those of you that got here, I'm doing a podcast. And just talking about my week, mainly. And lost my train of thought. Right. I took a ride with a D. And I'm going to be... Yeah, I'm going to skip that one. Yeah, the only thing on Wednesday besides that was, like, I did a Zoom meeting for, like, tutoring. And it's not like the tutoring as in one-on-one or to help with homework. No, I'm tutoring as in I'm teaching a lesson for 5 students. And I'm going in cold. That's the essential thing I got, and I'm somewhat nervous and somewhat excited, so it's just like a bit of mixed feelings. I might talk about that another time. Right. Thursday. What did we do Thursday? Similar to Tuesday. Chilled out and just did homework. Different poets. Right. But the one thing I want to note is I came up with an idea that I hope works. And I think I might want to hold on to that until I know for certain that it works. But I do have plans for my first lesson. Anyway. Right, Friday. Ooh, Friday was an interesting day. Oh my gosh. So me and my blockmates, so my classmates really, that I'm stuck with for the whole entire program. It seems the theme is that Fridays, we're just exhausted from all the work we have to do. And also, Thursdays, sometimes we have the TPA session, so the people that tells us what the test is going to be, and what it's like, and what we have to do. But it's a lot of information, and then it's a lot to take in, to where Fridays, we're just drained out of it and over it by that point. So that's the theme of Fridays, usually. Yeah, so morning class was just... Oh yeah, do these activities before class, and it's online today. we were looking at this lesson plan that wasn't really helpful. Right. Yeah, I'm in college. We had to do Zoom stuff. Yeah, we were looking at this lesson plan. It was so not practical at all. And a lesson plan, when teachers write a lesson plan, it has to be specific, because if you're going by the lesson plan, it really helps if you have no idea what you're doing or you lost your train of thought. Trust me, it happens. It happens to me a lot in podcasts. You get the gist of that. But the lesson plan that we were given was we were shown was, one, way too broad, two, way too much information, or not information, but the worksheet. Ugh, okay. That gave me red flags. Worksheets. No. Let me say it again. No. Worksheets are a half-assed solution to just teaching something. You really want to teach, it's work. If you don't want to do the work and give a worksheet, get out of the profession of teaching. I'm sorry, I have to say it. Worksheets are just... you can't use that all the time. They're just too half-assed a solution, and they're not very practical. You're not really teaching, you're just being a parent at this point. You're just finding, and by a parent I mean, you're either finding ways to... I don't know what I'm saying right now, but it's just a bad idea overall. Worksheets are not really great. You want to teach a good lesson, you work hard. You want to teach a math lesson, you don't use a worksheet. You work for this. You make sure you know, or at least get an idea of every single student's skill set. And if not, you kind of test the waters and see where they're at. You give them a try. You let them try the math for themselves. And if they can, suggest something. They don't have to take suggestions, though they'll learn why that's important. I talked about this last episode, or 2 episodes ago, but essentially it's important. Yeah, that's mainly what that was. Okay, yeah. One thing I did notice... being a student is a lot of work, especially when you have an online class and the next... Take this for example. You have, a class that's from, 8:30 to 12:30. Long start. The first, 8:30 to, 10 was, prep work. The other part of it was class. And you have, 12:30 to 1, that tiny bit of break, and 30 minutes isn't a lot for college students like me. You have that 30 minutes to get to class. And if you live far away, you don't live on campus, or you're not nearby, 30 minutes is not going to be enough to save your butt. So, most of my classmates / blockmates were on campus. I could tell because I've been around the campus long enough. I've been there since 2000. I got transferred to Cal State Fullerton around 2018. So I've been on campus a long time. I know some places. I can recognize where they might be. I know that if they're in a building, they're probably on campus, not at their homes, because it's obvious. And if they are at their homes, they must live nearby. Or they probably didn't get the memo. Though one of my blockmates did catch that on early and decided to one, get Zoom on his phone, and get transportation over to the school immediately so he wasn't late, which is great. That rhymed. Huh. Poet. Anyway. Yeah, it was a whole thing. So I wasn't the only one that went to the campus early so I can just make it easier for myself. And I have to do that because I don't drive. So I have to take the bus over to the school. And the buses are slow a little bit. Because if you're going by car, it's not that far, and you literally will be there in like maybe 30 minutes. It might take maybe over an hour by bus because it's slow, but the distance isn't like far. And that's me roughly estimating how much time it gets there by bus. I haven't really like done the math or anything. It's just it takes 15 minutes to get to a certain place, so it might take another 15 minutes, maybe 5 minutes more, so roughly around a half an hour or more by car. So maybe a little bit more by bus. It's ridiculous, but it works, and it gets me there on time. And if I'm on campus, it makes it easier for me to get to class without having to suffer. Because there is no way I can get to campus from here, from this house, in 30 minutes by bus. It's impossible. Trust me. Unless there's buses that go like 15 or something. See, that's the thing about the bus. Since I don't drive, I don't have to worry about parking. Though I do have to worry about finding a good spot to find a plug and a good place for reception and Wi-Fi. Yeah. Being a college student is rough. Yeah. Isn't that right? Okay. This is Gerald. I explained him earlier, but I made him for class, so he's kind of important. Right. What else in my notes did I write about? Oh yeah. My morning teacher was late again. I don't know why she was just late, and I kind of expect that. Oh yeah, yeah. So my teacher was late, but while all of us were logged in, we were just chatting, and we're all like used to each other a little bit, thanks to like Discord. So I'm just like chatting away to kind of ease the awkward tension in the room. And if anyone knows me, I am the type of person that will try to fill the silence as much as possible. Like the awkwardness really gets under my skin. I can't stand silence. I can't stand it. That's why I have like background music, anything to keep the silence, cuz silence means the thoughts creep into my mind and not always good ones. So, yeah, in short, it keeps me sane. That's the short of it. Um I'm gonna skip that. I think I'm gonna skip that one. Oh, right. Well, okay. Yeah, I also found out that one of my other classmates, got engaged. This is like the second, maybe third person in my group or block to really get engaged. So yeah, there are about like maybe 2 or 3 people that are engaged. And in these crazy times, which is great. I'm happy for them. And mainly this last class in the afternoon, we're all like tired, and we were trying to like, a lot of us, I can tell, we're all like the type of students, we're just trying to get work done. But by the last class, you have, if I commend for people who do this, who maybe take 5, maybe 7 classes. If you take 7 classes, you're insane. You're insane. Do yourself a favor. If you really have to, stick to 5 and get a life. Please, for the love of everything that is good in the world, just please breathe. Go touch some grass. Walk. There's this thing called breathing the fresh air. Anyway. TLDR. We're all just like dead. Like I said, like Fridays we're just like exhausted. We're over it. We just want to do something fun, breathe, and just kind of reconvene. Because at that point, we're just drained. So by the time the teacher's trying to ask us something, there's just dead silence. And it's not like awkwardness. That's not the vibe I'm getting. It's just like tiredness, and nobody wants to talk. There might be a few people who are like introverted, but a lot of other people I know like to talk. But it's really hard for a lot of other people to like either restrict what they say or speak up, because that's the thing we have to learn is like if we talk a lot, we have to like pull back. And I'm one of those people that has to pull back, as you can probably tell. Because it is so not easy. I am trying to be patient, and it's literally testing my patience in a good way. Because I have an inhumane amount of patience. I am not even joking. My friends will even tell you that I am ridiculous at being patient. It's going to be a really good trait for me as a teacher, because patience is what you definitely need in this profession. Yeah, exactly. Any more than like 4 is like pushing it. But 5 or 6, even 7, I have to take like 7 classes, not by choice. Because we're all like assigned certain classes, and I'm just like, just shoot me now. Just kill me now, please. But here's the thing. 5 of the classes are actual classes. 2 of them are mainly like working in the field. So student teaching, really. They're just different ways of saying it. And then at the TPA, yeah, you can at the TPA as like sessions. There's only like 5. Thank God. But yeah, you can probably tell 8 classes were all just dead. So the last teacher that gets us probably is trying really hard, even though we're all just drained, tired, and probably just over it all already. Yeah. So on Friday, so yesterday, after class, now we kind of mentioned this on Discord, saying like, someone was like saying, hey, I'm gonna go to this place for just to get some food and a drink. Who's gonna join me? I don't drink alcohol. I just went because I wanted to hang out with people and live for a change. After being stuck at home in a pandemic, I'm just like, I am just willing to try anything at this point. Just to hang out with people, even if it means having to drink water. This. Drink more. Yeah. Which was great. Because it was a really California heat, hot day. Ugh. I told in previous episodes, I don't do well with heat. I would sweat easily. I am trying to avoid being in the sun as much as possible, especially if it's 90-degree heat. Believe me, do not stay out in 90-degree heat. There is such a thing called heat exhaustion. Especially something called being sunburnt. Luckily I didn't get any yet. Yikes. Yeah, I just went with two of my classmates. I had a great time. Lovely time. I even talked about the podcast a bit. I probably won't mention them by name because I don't really want privacy reasons. It's not that I asked them, I just want to protect people from being hurt, if possible. If I wouldn't do anything without their permission. That's the thing. That's the thing. Let's see. I think that's about it for, like, the week. But mainly, one of my blockmates drove me home, but she had, like, 4 tequila shots, or she had 4, like, drinks of tequila. I'm not sure how much tequila was in it, but I don't drink. I'm the sober one, so at least I have some bearings as to where I live. So that at least she can drive me home safely, and I have good faith that she did too. At least, thankfully. So. But yeah, I was just glad I got home safely, and we had a great time. Mainly, we just talked about life and everything. It felt nice. It felt normal. I almost forgot we were in a pandemic. And that's saying a lot because I suffered a lot in the pandemic. Emotionally, anyway. Luckily, no one I knew no one died from the virus that I know of. Sick, yes, but no one got killed from it. Thank the Lord. And that's a whole story for another day. Alright. Now, we get to high school. Right. So, I'm done talking about my week. Now I'm going to talk more about my story. First episode, I talked about elementary school. Second, last episode, I talked about junior high. You want to see those episodes? There should be a link to my YouTube in my, channel page. If not, just look for super_cat with a K and 2 T's. So, both of those. Check them out and enjoy my silliness. If you enjoy my charm. Anyway. Now, high school was different than elementary and junior high, obviously, because new school, new district, new vibe. As far as I remember, the whole special education department in that school was really different. As in, they weren't the type to, like, go against my mother's wishes, but actually help. So they were actually doing a good job to the point where I didn't need something. And they told my mother, we need to take this out. Because they didn't really specify, but they did have a reason. She's like, my mother being like, what? You are taking this away? Why? And the teachers were like, wait, chill. We have a good reason. She doesn't need it anymore. I swear. She's doing better. And she's like, oh. And I think afterwards, they were asking my dad, like, why was she like this? And the only reason I know anything about this is because they tell me a lot. Now that I'm an adult and they like to share stories. They told me what happened. And that being that... Sorry, I'm getting my bearings. She's dealt with people who went against their wishes, who they said... she asked for one thing, they did another. And a simple version of it is I was supposed to be held back a grade, but they went ahead instead. And that totally did. First of all, it went against a lot of like rules and laws and regulations that I'm aware of that I can't really say specifically at the top of my head. I do know that it's against the law to go against the mother's wishes if they're like their child is and has special needs or has needs that needs to be met. But I do know it's part of idea and another. Anyway, we're not here to talk about laws. We're here to talk about high school. Specifically, what I did in high school. So the IEP meetings were a lot different. An IEP, for those of you that are not familiar, is Individualized Education Plan. Yeah. Big fancy words, so IEP for short. What contains in an IEP meeting is simple. You have the teacher, the special education teacher. You have a general education teacher, if not one or two. You have the speech, you have the psychologist or a specialist of some kind, probably a social worker, so either one of these people, assistant principal, if they can spare the time, parents, and the child when they're old enough, so me. I was able to attend these meetings when I was older. And that I will get to in a moment. But essentially, the meetings were better. My mom was able to contact the teacher for special ed a lot. Like, they would convene back and forth. They were pretty good friends, or at least they had a very friendly relationship in terms of being professional. Or professionalism. I don't know the term. Basically, they were just being very friendly with each other and they were enjoying each other of just talking about school stuff for me. I might mention this again, but around sophomore year, so transitioning to junior year, I don't remember what the IEP meeting was about. All I remember was this piece of advice that Mr. Wallace, the assistant principal all the time, gave the teachers and myself. I think I needed to build up some like social cues or something, or maybe like be more involved or engaged in something. So Mr. Wallace decided to recommend I go to the Associated Student Body, the ASB of the school. And I was open-minded about it. I was more curious because I didn't really think about it. I didn't even know that existed or they were. So, long story short, I got in. Best decision of my life, actually. Because ASB was a good setup for gathering the courage to take more leadership roles. Because at the time, I wasn't the type to go for... Well, I attempted presidency at around freshman year. So I was trying, but not really. So at least it gave me exposure to doing more, stepping up more, being more of a leader and not much of a follower. Or at least I was willing to step up when needed. I think that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, we get to freshman year. Now, the president part I was talking about, I was actually stepping up for president of the art club with another person that later on in senior year apparently made his own club, which is awesome. I think someone else won that election for president, but I tried. I think around high school, I never viewed myself as popular. The only time I ever felt like I was popular just because I knew a lot more people was because I was a senior year in high school. A senior in high school. Blech. Words, what are they today? Okay. I took dance around this time instead of PE. I needed physical education, but I could take dance instead to fill that physical education void. I didn't want to do PE because I had done PE and I was take it or leave it. But dancing's fun. I love music, so dancing, exercise, fun? Yes, please. Sign me up. So I learned tap dance, ballet, maybe jazz. I learned a bunch of different dances, but tap and ballet were the ones that stuck around because I had to do warm-ups for ballet, and luckily I didn't have to wear ballerina shoes because I think they were too expensive. Or at least it was okay if I wasn't. Though I also was taking Taekwondo around this time and sophomore year. So between that and dance, I was literally flexible. And that was good because if you build your flexibility young, you can last a little bit longer in life. At least that's from the classes I've taken in college. Another long story for another time. Maybe for another episode. Probably the next one. Anyway. So I decided to take dance because it was fun, and what better way to get some energy and physical education than that? Yeah, that was a brilliant alternative because learning shouldn't be a chore. It should be fun, or should be where it sparks curiosity, wonder, and in my case, creativity. Because there's not a lot of it. And I'm very, very depressed about that. Very, very angry enough to where I will put creativity in the classroom. I don't care if people say we shouldn't be doing that or not. I'm very against the whole idea of pushing creativity aside because we need to have more numbers. No, that's not how that works. I could vent about this all day, but I don't want to. Okay? Essentially, I could pull a whole episode about this. And I don't really think I want to exhaust anybody else. The last thing in sophomore year I can probably remember is taking world history. Probably was sophomore year though. But between freshman and sophomore, I remember taking a world history class with Mr. Ryan. Oh boy. I don't know where he was in his teaching career. I don't know if he was the burnt out teachers. They're the teachers that don't have any passion behind them. Or if he was just, it was the morning and he may not be the type of teacher that just knows how to teach in the morning. I don't know. Every time he went into this guy's class, you would instantly fall asleep. He had this deadpan expression. It was really hard to stay awake. And it was really hard to keep focus. Sound like my classes right now, actually. So in a way, you take world history with this guy, and you're trying to stay awake as much as you can because see. Yeah, I feel sorry for the guy. Anyway, I already mentioned I took Taekwondo between freshman and sophomore year, but I will say that I got all the way up to brown belt, and I do remember a few bits of that, and I try to keep that in mind. I've also taken kickboxing, or like boxing classes. I've taken self-defense classes for reasons of I want to protect myself when I'm outside. So it's not like I don't know how to fight. I instinctively know how to block. So I know how to defend myself if I have to. I know how to throw a solid punch. And believe me, from what I can do, I think I can pull a really bad punch if I want to. Especially if I'm under adrenaline. And I'm probably angry. I'm not one of those people that gets easily angry and aggressive. I think I'm one of those people where if you push me long enough, I will push back if I have to. But I don't. And like I said before, I avoid conflict as much as possible. I absolutely hate it. For personal reasons, but I don't think I'm gonna get into that today. Okay. Oh, around this time, I also was into game club, and I think yeah, I was given the name Lucario because I used two characters in Super Smash Brothers Melee at the time. Was it Melee? That was Brawl. Brawl came after Melee, which yeah, gamer hair, awesome. Anyway, TLDR. I was given the name Lucario because sometimes I used Lucario. So yeah, I used Lucario and also Pit. Mostly Pit. Pit's pretty much Icarus. I used him because his special is a little overpowered to where everybody hated me using it, but I can still, like, it's one of those characters where I can last long in a fight because the wings make it to where I can still be on the field or the arena and I can still be okay. So, yeah. Lucario's a little bit trickier to use, but I still love using Lucario because Lucario is one of my favorite Pokemons, and if he was ever a starter, or Riolu, I would get Riolu as a starter right away. Not even joking. I would literally just make me fine. Took me hours in the new Pokemon Sword to find one. And believe me, it was worth it. If I had it would have been lucky if I had a shiny. I know shinies are rare and they're not easy, so. By the way, Pokemon Sword is my first Pokemon game I ever played. I've watched the anime stuff, so I'm not a total noob. And I am aware of the card game, okay? That's another story for another day. Okay. Right. For those of you that don't know, I had this friend named David. Well, friend, now enemy. And it all started because some bullies of mine whispered something into David's ear and we became enemies since. To where in junior high, when I tried to let bygones be bygones, he brushed me off. Hi. So yeah, David brushed me off, still being the idiot he is. It continues in high school, to where I noticed this guy. He looks so familiar. Oh, awesome. Right. That's how my thoughts are. They're like going away. Oh, right. David. Does corpse bride count? Anyway. So David came back, but this time he introduced himself as Brian. Now, mind you, I haven't seen David since junior high, so granted, it's been a while since I've seen the dude, and I knew that his face seemed familiar. Like, my brain was saying, is that David? Is that David? Is that David? Yeah, red flags. Red flags were coming up. Anyway, so you introduced yourself as Brian. I found that to be a little bit suspicious, but I could have been wrong. So I kind of just have this mixture of doubt in between. After that, however, I didn't hear much about him. Till like one day, I think it was a warm day because I don't remember it being cold. I remember seeing David coming from the hallway to the front of the school to getting to the office with another teacher. Now, what's interesting is I see blood coming out of his nose, so we got into a fight. Later on, I asked the teacher, who was that guy? She tells me his name. That his name's David. I'm like, David, this person? She's like, yes. I'm like, oh. And, well, after that, I realized he lied to me. That David, Brian, lied to me. Why would he lie to me? Unless he was maybe not wanting to. He probably didn't recognize me. Or maybe he didn't really want to associate with me at all. Which is fine. Oh yeah. I also dealt with another bully. Well, some would look at as bully. I just saw as somebody hungry. He would take a lot of my chips in my lunchbox. Well, that's how the art club or that's how food got banned from doing. Food got banned in the art classroom. So, yeah. Sad, really. That partly was due to me and my interaction with this guy. Anyway. I'm gonna skip that a bit. So we get to junior year. This is how I know the program, the student teaching, when we get there. That's the thing I need to mention. The student teaching bit of it is postponed until October, so we're doing field work double time next month. So next month's gonna get a little bit crazier because I'm gonna be dealing with actual teaching a little bit and mixed in classrooms, so that will be exhaustion times 10. So hopefully I get to do more of these podcasts on Saturdays. If not, I might do them Sundays if I'm just totally exhausted. Just to be sure. Anyway. Think. Yes, I do that thing that, right. I do that thing where Pooh likes to do. Anyway, this is how I know this will work. So my U.S. history class, my U.S. history teacher had a student teacher who goes to Cal State Fullerton, and I was curious because that was the school that keeps mentioning all throughout my life. That's the thing, is that I've been to Cal State Fullerton when I was younger, when they had their special games for special education students like myself. So I've been there a couple of times. I mostly recognize the field. I didn't know the field from the name of the school, but I just knew the field. That sounds really interesting if you put it out of context. But anyway, regardless, I digress. Here's the story. Or here's the thing. So, I just hear that Cal State Fullerton is really good with teachers. They have a good teaching program, like that keeps mentioning and echoing in my head. So of course, that's the school of my dreams. If they have a good education program, I'm gonna go for it. So of course, there's a teacher that's teaching history. Now, my guess is she was teaching for a single subject. What I'm going for in the credential is multiple subjects. Multiple subject credential. Short, easier way to explain this. Elementary and sort of middle school, you deal with all subjects. Whereas if you're in high school, junior high, you deal with one subject. So she'd be teaching history. She wouldn't have to know math or, okay, maybe math just a little bit, but mainly like English, or she wouldn't have to teach all the others. She would just teach history, but still. So sometimes she would mainly just be observing. She would be helping out like a TA. That's what the field work is. Then she would be stepping in and doing the teaching herself. Which, now that I think about it, she must have been really nervous. But I remember her first lesson really well. It was something to do with making a timeline on Prezi. If you don't know what Prezi is, just look it up online. Trust me, it's there. It's literally there. It's really popular to use for presentations, and I would prefer that because it's nice, but still, I digress. I got introduced to Prezi, and I'm glad the Prezi has blown up over the years because their templates are really great. It's a really great platform to use. It takes a bit of creativity, but still, it was a good lesson. I enjoy it. I still use it to this day. That's the kind of teacher that sticks with you. Is ones that will teach you something useful, and that will still stick with you to this day. And I enjoy it. I enjoy using it. I love using that program. I appreciated her teaching. She was really good at what she did. So, I do think she has a class. I do remember she got hired by the school and now is probably teaching there. Wouldn't be surprised if I see that she's still there. But she was good. And even assistant teacher, she was good. She took notes from Mr. Foley, my history teacher, really well. She did really well in that, and I really respect her. I really respect her, and I was happy for her. The other thing that happened in history class in junior year was I got to see this DVD or documentary about Nagasaki? The two cities that got bombed in World War II. And what that looked like. There were just two cities. Normal cities. And people living their normal lives. Till one day this nuke comes around and makes people sick. Gets people killed. People are burned. And some of them are thirsty for water. But they can't get water. Why can't they get water? That's easy. If you know science. Radiation is a thing. So the nuke is long since past. The radiation is still there. So by the time the rain picks up the radiation or whatever chemicals, the rain will drop down and hold acid. In other words, terrible chemicals mixed in the air does not make good for the body. So, for some reason, they couldn't give water to the people either because of the radiation that was going through. That's basically tragic. And this was all from a DVD or a documentary that our teacher decided to show us. And I'm glad he did. Because it wasn't the same after that. I was just thinking about all those people. How they just died. I know it was war, and war is not... War is an ugly place. It's an ugly thing that is no friend except the Undertaker. And yes, that was a line from a song. And it was done then on purpose because it is true. It is so true. Very, very true. Anyway. I think I'll say that for another day. Yeah, and junior year was also the same year I did ASB. So I did that for 2 years. This is also around the time of homecoming and prom. Both times I went by myself. Yep, I didn't have a date. I never asked for a date. I just went by myself because I think now that I'm thinking about it, people will look at me as an independent woman, when I never looked at myself as independent. I looked at myself as just someone who was just trying to blend in with people, was trying to just have people accept me, when I never felt like I was popular or noticeable. Yeah, that's basically the truth. That's basically why. At the same time, I still went to prom. I still have my prom dress in my closet. Don't know if I can fit into it, but it was a beautiful dress. Oh my gosh. I think I still have a picture of, like, maybe it was either my junior or senior year. Probably my senior year. But it was beautiful. Oh my gosh. I had my hair done. I had my makeup done. I looked beautiful. I look at those pictures now and I was a different person. I looked like I was hot. Like the red dress. I love the color red. Red rose, obviously. Red curtains behind this computer, obviously. And red just looks good on me. It really suits me. I love the color red. I think it suits me. I think it's attractive. I think it just says me. I look at those pictures now, and I still think that. Still. Not even joking. Not even sorry. But yeah, my homecoming and my prom pictures are completely different. I try my best. I really do. One other thing that happened in junior year was I almost met the guy, the artist that does the rap song Black and Yellow. Black and Yellow, Black and Yellow. Yeah, I almost had a chance to meet this dude. I don't know how. I swear, I'm not kidding. I don't know how my school even attempted this. I don't even know how they managed to get in contact with him. Because as far as I knew, that was about, like, up there, Hollywood. Like, here's Hollywood. Here's me. I'm very, very much an aunt to these people. So I was like, face to face? Question mark? Yeah. Weird. Just weird. Anyway. I was this close. The story behind that is I literally just wanted to get my clothes from the locker. I didn't get far. I think went to the weekend without them, and I just came home and washed them or something. I don't know. I never got a chance to get them, alright? But I saw this figure, but I didn't get a chance to get a closer look because I lost him. But I swear I just caught a glimpse, but that's it. I could barely recognize. I couldn't even tell you if it was him if I had a picture of him and I noticed, because there wasn't really too much for me to like indicate that it was him. So I may have seen him. And there's no way he would recognize me because he wasn't looking, and I think maybe he was on his phone. Maybe. Oh, and to make sure for those of you that are living in the time of Facebook, Instagram stuff, this was when Facebook was just starting. Just starting. So, social media back then, it's only a baby. So it was barely a thing. Barely a thing. Barely anything at all. Which was nice. Guess. I don't know. I just know that I grew up around time of high school before social media blew up and took over the whole concept of that. So I don't know what that's like if I would go to class and people are on social media. I don't even know what that looks like in high school. I know what it looks like in college, and everybody's responsible, at least from the people I hang out with or interact with. I have no idea why my nostrils are flaring up so much. I'm looking. Okay. Oh boy, oh boy. Senior year. Oh dear lordy lord. Sorry, I was thinking of a terrible meme in my head. Right. So this was the second year where I was in ASB. Now, ASB, one day, got a chance, won a contest and had a lot of money. So the better question was, what do we do with it? Some suggested a lunch. The advisor, the teacher, she's like, nah, this money, we're going to Disneyland. I'm like, oh, this teacher's got guts. And I was like, is this a thing? Is this really happening? Are we really going to Disneyland? Like, my brain was just like flowing with excitement and confusion. Like, how are we gonna do this? How are we gonna make this work? What? Because we wanted to go to Disneyland because we just wanted to have fun. Turns out, with a little bit of research, Disneyland at the time, don't know, they still do it now, built this program for like future leaders or something. And that was a good excuse. So we used that. It was actually great for bonding too. It turned out to be a really great idea to just do this program. And we managed to just walk around and got onto rides and stuff. And I got to know the president of the ASB better. It was a really great moment. And actually was the catalyst for the seniors to at least have their grand night at Disneyland. So apparently, we paved the way for seniors to go back there, even though they were supposed to be under probation, but like banned, because apparently, my guess was, this was like years ago, somebody was idiots and decided to, well, do stupid things, I don't know what, but we got banned. And seniors were mainly doing the Six Flags, which I wasn't going to go if that was the case. But I went to the Disneyland because I think with the ASB going on a trip there, somebody working there, pleading their case for my generation, And Disney worked it out. Said, okay, fine. Under one condition. They have to be watched and supervised. Which is fair. I mean, I don't care. It gives the adults a chance to do Disneyland stuff too. I mean, come on. What kind of excuse? That's pretty much just giving the adults something to do as well. I'm not even joking. I went to Grande with my friend, which I will get to in a moment. But yeah, that's ASB pretty much paved the way for that. Yeah, the last day of school for ASB was a little bit emotional. So the seniors would sit in front, and everybody would sit in like an audience style. So we all could give our speeches. I think ours was like this. Like, everybody was in like a circle, and the seniors are all in the front. So everybody could see us. Which was great, because I think because we bonded a lot more, it was just an emotional day to say goodbye. I'm still in contact with a few of them too. Today. I think a few of them are on Facebook, and I know a little bit more on Instagram. Instagram seems to be the thing for my generation right now. Do I still miss them? Yes, but what stings even more is that the advisor retired. So, I'm not totally surprised, but still. If she retired that very, like the time I graduated, that must mean she retired with a bang. I mean, she got to go to Disneyland out of all of it. Come on, who could say no to that? Okay. I want to mention the Act Now Club. Now, between junior year and senior, probably somewhere, or maybe around junior year, I believe. Or maybe somewhere around early senior year. Don't quote me on that. I just knew it happened somewhere around that time. There was this event that was similar to what the Act Now Club is right now. It was like a special event for bonding. Oh yeah, it was junior year. Alright. Sorry. That's another day. Right. No idea what the... Bleh. It's been a long day. So there was this event that allowed me and my mom to bond. Someone from my class, my dance class, mentioned they were gay. And that was one of my few exposures to someone of LGBTQ. Because I don't interact with that community too often. And I didn't know. I actually had a crush on this dude, so I confessed. I told him I know the truth. I just wanted you to know. It was so awkward. I was trying to be honest. And I think maybe that was one of the reasons why he picked me as one of his partners. I think it was also just maybe... Anyway. So getting off track. He confessed, and at the time, this was before the law that would protect LGBTQ, so he was very brave to even confess this at all. If not, maybe it was just starting up, so the law was maybe accepted, but it was still going to be in process, so we're still very into the new territory of all this. So it was around close to that time, but I think it may have been before. Regardless, he confessed. That takes courage. The other thing that happened was one of the guys that would tease me saying that I like a certain dude or bug me. That's the thing. Ever since when I was a kid, a lot of other types of bullying just brushed off. Like, I ignored it. I didn't acknowledge it. Like, my brain just didn't put two and two together, which was a good thing, because not acknowledging them gave better strength for me. Or at least, I wasn't completely aware of people teasing me. I knew that they were kidding, or I knew that they weren't, I wasn't taking them seriously. That guy apologized to me, saying, sorry, I teased you. I was completely dumbfounded. I was completely shocked because I didn't even notice. Like, what is he talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. That literally was like... So that event, it was like exposing the bias and like letting those things out safely, and also kind of like making aware of challenge day. That's what it was. It was challenge day. Basically, it was just exposing those challenges or things like that. That's what it was. Act Now Club was the spark to that fire. The president of the club, literally after experiencing this, made this club happen. Like, senior year, Act Now Club was a new thing. I decided to go because I was there. I wanted to see it, and I decided to stay. They needed a photographer. I had a camera, and I was against someone else, but I think I was picked because I literally had a camera and I knew what I was doing. I was just taking pictures, and me and the president were working together for reasons. I don't remember. I just know that he wanted a lot of pictures. I would take a whole lot of pictures, so I was always trying to stay active. I still have those pictures. Might look at it one day. Might not. Who knows? So yeah, I was made club photographer around that time. The president was also the same person that went against me for our club president. But we became friends, and he was also a member of the ASB, so I kind of grew kind of close to him, or like at least, yeah, maybe as friends mainly. Speaking of friends, this is important. I made one new friend in English class. Now, for context, this is general ed English. I was usually put in like all special ed classes growing up. This was so slowly I was going into normal or general education classes, so normal classes, and English was one of them. My friend Nana were no longer friends in my eyes, but I ghost her. I tried to keep the contact to a minimum as much as possible for different reasons. But this is how our friendship grew. We met in class. Our teacher was talking about cheating. So it was basically a reverse psychology lesson of, yes, I know how this works. Don't try it. That was the thing. But we were known as the Giggle Twins. She understood me more than anyone else at the time because I was just going through a lot, as any other high school student would at that time. And she accepted me for who I am. And we were friends, we hung out, we had fun together. Like, we would just do fun things, such as play games or just talk about stuff. Okay. She, around this time, was dating one of my friends. Yeah. So his name was Michael. Michael was a friend of Alex's that I remember from junior high, so it felt very in full circle that somebody I consider to be my friend from junior high with Alex is now dating someone my new friends. So, full circle. She went through the honeymoon phase of the relationship. She really was just hanging out with him a lot. I felt like a third wheel most of the time. There were like 2 times where I remember it being weird or the worst. The worst being she would talk to him and it was a half day. So we could talk more if we wanted to. But she decided to talk to or wait for Michael. I was pissed off and decided to cross the street to get her attention. Nothing. I felt hurt. I walked home, told my dad about it. We went for ice cream and just cheered me up. And yeah. That was not a good day. The other day that was weird and also not good. I was a third wheel on a date. They're not supposed to be together. But regardless, I don't care for the reason now. I'm really just burying it and just moving on and accepting that it happened. I was writing a book at the time, so I had that as an excuse. I was just mainly supervising. I remember them going to a restaurant, and after that, we went to the park. And all I know was, I think they were kissing. I was outside of the truck. Where's my words tonight? They basically yeah, they were basically kissing and making out. I was outside getting inspiration from the park. All I know is there were towels, and it was probably hot in there. You put the 2 and 2 together and figure out what that means. Oh yeah, and then I asked about something about 69. I'm young and naive. I have no idea what those things mean. And quite frankly, I have a vague idea what that means. And I'd rather keep my vague idea. So you do the 2 and 2 together and I'll leave it to your imaginations for that. But yeah, that happened. And I was totally oblivious. Totally oblivious. I had to call my father to pick me up because their truck was broken down or something. And so it just made things super weird, awkward, and quite frankly, I'm looking back at this now like, why? Why did I put myself into that stress? Why did I do this? Well, that was a little bit of drama for you. Let's see. One of the things that made us close to being former now, she wasn't the type to think ahead. I was. I would be thinking more about my future. She was not really thinking about it at all. That was the one thing that was the difference between the two of us, is that I wasn't willing to. She didn't really think about her future while I was. Oh, the Lucario I had before, that was her gift to me. I still have it because I like Lucario, so I still keep it because I love Lucario. It doesn't really remind me much of her, but it's the first time I ever remembered that it was a gift from her in the past. So I've accepted it as more of my own. There was another interesting event, if not traumatic. Well, maybe not traumatic. That's a bit more extreme, but just a little bit chaotic. This is my first calling 911 experience. Me and Nano, my friend, were just walking, doing normal things until we saw a woman in a wheelchair got hit by the side of the car. And I think they got her onto the sidewalk so she could be safe. And somebody said call 911. And I did. But I panicked and hung up, and they called me back, because, of course. Why did I panic? Because I never called 911 before. And I'm, like, 17 at the time. I'm 17 at the time, and I panicked. But I was responsible. They picked up. I told them the situation. I told them the location. Next thing I know, the police and the paramedics, yeah, I'm thinking the paramedics arrive or something. I just know that an ambulance, a fire truck, and a police car came. Told my dad about it. They took my testament. Statement, or whatever the terminology is, that they took note of what I said. And me and my dad left. Yeah. So, circling back to Act Now. Yeah, not only was I the photographer, but also something else happened. Now, I don't remember her first name. I know her last name is Mendez. As in, like, the Mendez versus, Whittier case. Like, the District of Whittier thing. It was a case that helped the Brown versus Board of Education to be a thing. And not a lot of schools teach this. Because they either skip it. And I do remember there was a point in my politics class, because of course we did American politics for high school, whatever. Excuse me, I'll be right back. Just a moment. It'll only be a moment. Why do I sound like I'm singing? Okay. And we're back. Sorry about that. my my computer needs. Regardless, that's circling back to the Mendez. Mendez are one of the main members of the family, the youngest one, I think. The youngest sibling. She came to my school. I've met this woman 4 times after that. From memory. 4 times. That's a record. And the fact that I've seen her like 4 or 5 times is a record. It was great. I haven't been like face to face with somebody that was a part of history and also a part of like a political struggle, which was awesome. I think I still have the recording. It's still really bad though. Maybe it was some editing. Maybe. Thoughts for another day. But I wanted to talk about that because, yeah, I have met this woman. I have seen her, and she's a nice woman. She reminds me of my grandmother, who was tough, strong, and self-sufficient. I think she just reminds me of her a lot. Because around her I felt happy and comfortable. You don't usually get those feelings a lot because I'm usually awkward. So we get to graduation. All right. Just trying to check my notes real quick. Okay. So I applied to a scholarship that I won. I got on the honor roll for three times in high school, twice in middle school. So that's a total of 5 times. So I got the honor roll 5 times. I graduated top 13% of my class. 1, 3. Awesome. And I made my mother smile. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So, it was in June. The setting was beautiful. It was at sunset. Whoever arranged, I think the principal arranged it to be around sunset because it was just right. The feeling was just right. I literally could be in poem mode right now, and I might be. But the setting was right. Everything felt just at that moment. Excuse me. Maybe that's why my nose was tickling earlier. I basically... It was the setting was just perfect for the moment that I had and everything going on in my life. I was graduating with my best friend. My friend, now former at the time. My aunts and uncles were there. My grandmother, my grandfather on my mother's side was there. That was a huge moment because my grandfather doesn't usually come to moments like this. So it was really nice to see him out and about and see me graduate. And of course my parents. We arranged this with tickets that we had and worked with it. Like I said, my grandfather that I mentioned earlier, he's in heaven now. But at the time, he did get to see my graduation. At night. Well, it was sunset and then went to night. So by nightfall, I graduated. And that was a huge moment for my mother. Because after everything we went through, all the trauma, the hell, backlash. Maybe not backlash, but I think my mother maybe had some backlash. Everything we went through was so worth it. I think my mother was crying. And it was the best moment I can remember. And my graduation, my grad night, happened like 4 or 5 days after. It happened a week after that because we couldn't do it on that night because for obvious reasons. And that was just the way it was arranged. Which was fine because that means I got to celebrate graduation twice. So, hell yeah. Oh my gosh, I remember grad night like it was yesterday. It was so fun. It was like going to Disneyland again. It was the best. I got to go there with no parents. I was... If it wasn't so expensive, I would go again in a heartbeat. I would go again in a heartbeat. It was the greatest night of my life. I still remember. I still have pictures. I took a lot of pictures my senior year. Not really gonna lie. I'm wondering if that camera's still around. Probably in this room. This room. I haven't thought about that in years. But yeah, despite all that, it was the best moment. Everyone was happy for me. Everybody was smiling. Despite all odds, I graduated with high honors in high school. I'll mention this more like next episode for college, all the way up to my bachelor's, but I now have an AA degree in child development and now a bachelor's degree in child and adolescent studies. So, to those people who didn't think I could make it, who's laughing now? But alas, the greatest night ever has to end sadly with sadness and drama. So, I have another grandfather. I'm not aware of, I'm thinking he might be still alive. I haven't heard him pass away. So, we don't talk about him much, but in short, we sometimes occasionally visit, but this kind of put the nail in the coffin saying, no, we are never visiting you again. So he made 5 voicemails to the house phone as we came home in this house, saying things like, I wasn't able to get to the graduation, and I thought of this, blah, blah, blah. Whatever happened, it sparked envy in my father, or like sparked, my dad was not happy. And me and my family haven't seen him. He's wants nothing to do with him. It was just not great. Not at all. No. So he was basically toxic to my dad. And it did not end well for the relationship. The last thing I want to talk about is the Department of Rehabilitation, because it'll relate to next episode. Department of Rehabilitation, or the DOR, helps with people like me with their special needs or something. They give services to those that need it for special needs or whatever to help them improve in life. Because of that, well, they sometimes scout in high schools. And my high school was one of the people that my caseworker was looking into. My art teacher got help from them. And I mentioned my story, like I wanted to be a teacher to them, and they said, yeah, we can help. And it goes down to that I also was getting sponsorship from them to go to college. So not only did I have a college lineup, I had ways to get it paid off and funded that I still have today. And also that I graduated with good grades enough to where colleges will look at me and like, oh, this girl's hardworking and smart. And I played the smart card because I could have taken the SATs and gone into the Cal State Fullerton. No, I went the long way. I went to a community college and then to Cal State Fullerton. Which apparently Cal State Fullerton works best with the DOR than Fullerton Community College, which makes little sense at the time, but To each their own. Anyway. We were at almost the 2-hour mark, and I went on a serious long haul, but yep, high school was very long for me. I mean, that's what 4 years and a long week can do. Anyways. So, if you like this episode, check out more. If this is going to be the YouTube part. If you like it, maybe put that like button. Subscribe if you want more. I will try to be consistent and upload videos between like right after the recording or the day after. So it's like consistent. So I will do my very, very best, but just know that my schedule will get crazy, so I will try to keep a commitment as best I can. But other than that, I will leave you with a fortune. Because that's what I like to do. Here's a bit of uplifting, here's an uplifting fortune. The glass is half full. Okay, so you got that. So yeah. If you're on Twitch, give me a follow. And check out some of my, highlighted videos. Because they have all of my streams. I put all of my streams there because Twitch does this thing where they delete after 14 days, which makes no sense and is so annoying. Not really lying at all. But what can you do? Anyway, I will bid you adieu, and next episode will be about my college life. Ironically enough. So,